A lot to get to tonight with the weather, with several red flag and high wind warnings across Colorado for much of the day today, and now winter storm warnings issued for much of the high country. But first, let's start with a wildfire burning in southeast Colorado. Tonight, more than 200 residents living in Fort Lyon in Bent County are back home after a wildfire burning east of Los Animas forced them all to evacuate this afternoon. Right now, that fire still sitting at about 800 acres, and at last check, there was no containment, but firefighters felt secure enough to lift those evacuation notices. Meanwhile, crews had to work quickly to contain a fire outside of Black Forest in El Paso County this afternoon. It ran dangerously close to homes in a part of Colorado that knows that danger all too well. Thankfully, no one there was hurt in that fire. And we're learning more about a small fire north of the Chaffee County Fairgrounds. That's near the town of Poncha Springs. Deputies tell us it burned about 15 acres, no buildings, just agricultural land. No word yet on containment. Did you get a call from Xcel today about those dangerous fire conditions? The company called 200,000 customers across the metro area today with a recorded message warning that their equipment may stop working if the winds got too strong. I asked the company's president today if that had anything to do with Xcel getting sued for its alleged role in sparking the Marshall Fire.
An important message and update from Xcel Energy.
It's a robocall that probably made you pay attention.
During this period of elevated wildfire risk, Xcel Energy will operate its electric system in some areas in a manner intended to decrease the risk of wildfire.
Xcel Energy's Colorado president Robert Kenney told me that's the first time his company has sent a message like this in Colorado. They did it because of the red flag conditions, wind and low humidity, ripe for fire.
We've taken steps to change certain aspects of how we operate the grid to mitigate and minimize the risk of a wildfire being started by our equipment.
The change, he says, activates a sensor in electrical wires. If something touches them, the current cuts.
It becomes de-energized very quickly. So if a wire were to fall to the ground, it won't have current flowing through it, thereby mitigating the risk of it starting a fire.
The purpose of the call, to let you know your power could go out if conditions get bad. Kenney says Xcel is taking these steps in response to increased wildfire risk around the country. We wondered if there was another purpose too. Does this have anything to do with the Marshall Fire?
No, it does not.
Xcel Energy is facing a host of lawsuits for the role investigators in Boulder County say their equipment might have played on that windy, dry day in 2021.
The most likely cause of the second fire was hot particles discharged from an Xcel Energy power line.
Folks probably do think this has something to do with that liability.
Well, we've continually said that we don't believe that our equipment started the Marshall Fire. We're doing this as a protective measure to protect public safety.
We apologize for any inconvenience this may cause.
So when we talked just before 5 o'clock this evening, Kenney said less than 500 customers lost their power today because of this, and that power was only out for about an hour and a half. They don't anticipate any of this going on again tomorrow. Let's take a live look right now at the Eisenhower-Johnson tunnels, where road conditions are expected to worsen as you head up to the mountains, so avoid going up if you can. And if you do go up, CDOT says you can expect multiple safety closures along I-70 and US 40 overnight and into tomorrow. Here's a look near Vail Pass right now. Really hard to see out there, but you see some snow piling up. Lauren, how long is all of this going to last?
Well, these winter weather alerts will be in effect for the high country through Monday morning. So as we've been saying, you want to try and stay off of those mountain roadways through Monday morning if you can. If you can't, you're going to have to expect some delays along the way. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at our current wind speeds. Our red flag warnings in Denver and northern portions of the Front Range and Eastern Plains have been allowed to expire on time, but we'll see continued red flag warnings to the south. Right now, winds dying down in Denver, but off to the south and west, you can see these winds still gusting up to 20, 30, 40 miles per hour. Down in Durango, we're seeing wind gusts up to 44 miles per hour, 54 mile per hour wind gusts down in Alamosa, where it's been pretty windy all day long. We zoom into the Front Range here. Bailey seeing winds gusting up to 33 miles per hour, 28 mile per hour wind gusts in Broomfield. We're going to see these winds die down as we move further into the evening, but we're not quite done with breezy conditions just yet. This afternoon, those highs are what aided to these red flag warnings. It was not only dry and windy, but it was very warm, especially for this time of year. We saw a high of 69 degrees this afternoon at DIA. Most of the urban corridor was in the upper 60s to low 70s. We even got some middle to upper 70s across the eastern plains. The high country saw those 40s and 50s and then those 60s across the western slope. So moving ahead in my 7-day forecast, we're going to talk about our cloudy, windy evening tonight. We're going to talk about spotty rain and snow chances across the Front Range and whiteout mountain snow conditions out west. So I'll have all of these details for you just ahead.
All right, Lauren, thank you. Tonight, police in Denver are working to find out what led up to a shooting that left a woman wounded. This happened at 7:30 tonight along the 2700 block of West Iliff Avenue. That's near Federal Boulevard. Police tell us the woman suffered serious injuries. No word yet on any info about a suspect. Police also arrested a teenage driver after a deadly crash earlier this morning. Happened close to 1 o'clock this morning. Police say the crash involved two cars at the intersection of Spear and Colfax. A 19-year-old driver was arrested on suspicion of vehicular homicide and DUI. His passenger died at the scene. Right now, their identity is not being released. The driver of the other car didn't have any injuries. The crash is still under investigation. Israel is now endorsing a proposed outline of a Gaza ceasefire. That's according to senior U.S. officials. Terms of that deal would include a 6-week ceasefire and the release of hostages from Hamas. Officials say that group is expected to respond tomorrow during talks in Cairo. As talks continue, aid has begun going into Gaza. The first drops happened early this morning with military planes dropping 66 bundles of food into Gaza, but no water or medical supplies as of now. The UN has so far warned of hundreds of thousands are at the risk of famine in that enclave. Here in Denver, protesters marched through the streets in support of Palestine today. This afternoon, hundreds gathered to call for a ceasefire in Gaza. 9 News reporter Janelle Finch takes us there.
Protesters took to the streets to advocate for an end to the war in Gaza. Their cries also included a call to action for Denver voters.
That is something we have to call on, and we have to keep doing everything we can. We cannot stop. It's not an option. And so the non-committed vote is definitely an important aspect of it, and that's what we're encouraging for this Tuesday.
Linda Amin Badwan says the political strategy would pull votes away from President Joe Biden in the primary election. She believes this is a necessary response to what she considers the president's lack of action regarding the Middle Eastern war.
It's been 5 months. It shouldn't have taken more than 30,000 people and more than 100 more trying to get food for him to speak up and to take action and to stop it and to call on a ceasefire, right?
Badwan's thoughts were shared by hundreds of ralliers Saturday afternoon.
You don't have to be Palestinian to understand the atrocities that are taking place and to want to do something about it. And so we are trying to tackle it from every angle we can.
If at least 15% of voters choose to be non-committed on their ballots, congressional districts could choose to send a delegate other than Biden to the Democratic National Convention, a move that would force national Democrats to hear some of these concerns.
We realize the ballots are due Tuesday, and we're pushing this effort as much as we can, and we hope more and more people will vote in this way to send a message that genocide is not okay for any people, not just the Palestinians, but for any people that are oppressed around the world.
Janelle Finch reporting. 2 districts in Michigan's primary election had enough non-committed votes to earn an uncommitted delegate. Those delegates are not required to vote for any particular candidate at the Democratic National Convention.